Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for being with me this Sunday. I'm Frederica Whitfield. All right, we continue to follow breaking news out of Tennessee. One woman dead after a masked gunman opened fire in a church in Antioch, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. At least 6 people were wounded. Here's what we know about the shooting. Police say the woman was killed in the church parking lot. The gunman then entered the rear of the church where he opened fire. Police say most of the victims were over 60 years old. All of the victims have been taken to various hospitals. I want to bring in CNN's Polo Sandoval now. So, Polo, what more are we learning about the sequence of events there?
Well, it all started at about 11:15 local time, just after services were letting out there, Fred. That is when authorities say this 26-year-old African-American man from nearby Rutherford County, apparently arrived there at the location and then shot and killed a woman in the parking lot before proceeding inside. We do understand at least 6 other people were shot there in the interior of the sanctuary before a church usher, according to what authorities are saying, tried to face off with this gunman. The gunman then pistol whipped him. That's when this usher, who is licensed to carry a firearm, that went out to his vehicle, grabbed a gun, and then again engaged the suspect in a form of struggle. But in the end, the suspect himself was actually shot. It's a non-life-threatening injury. Authorities speaking to him now, trying to get information. Meanwhile, I want you to hear directly from what some of the witnesses have to say of what was a truly just horrific scene playing out this morning in Antioch, Tennessee.
A man and his wife run up here to the house. We heard, my wife was on the computer and I was sitting in the living room. We heard the noise and the bang bang. Well, we thought it was just a crash down here at the corner. They had 2 to 3 a week right there in the corner. So they come run over. Next thing I know, the man and his wife, they was in the church and the guy shot at them, but they was able to get out and they run over here to me. And I went back, I told them, I said, we've been shot at in the church. I said, what? I said, nothing goes on out here in the country. And she said, we've been shot at, and my sister's still in. So I got my shoes on and went over there. And the time I got over there, he had shot the first lady in the back in the parking lot by that green Explorer. Then he turned around and rolled her over and shot her in the face. Then he went through the church and he knocked one older man out off a walker on the floor. And there was 2 right here. Then the one guy he shot, hit his scalp up here because he had blood all down his face and everything. And he went out. He was inside of there, standing over top of him with a gun. And like I say, as far as I know, he was the only one that they left there with that was alive that he shot.
All right, so here's where we are again. At least one person now confirmed dead, a woman who was shot and killed in the parking lot of that Tennessee church parking lot. 6 people currently recovering from their injuries, as is the gunman himself. Now, authorities say they know the name of this individual, but are not releasing it at this point, only saying that, again, he's a 26-year-old African-American man from a nearby county. And finally, the question everybody is asking right now, Fred, a motive. Authorities saying that they have, in their own description, found, quote, certain things that have been brought to the attention of this investigation that could potentially point them in a direction of a motive, but at this point they're not prepared to say, to really elaborate on that, Fred. As you may imagine, still a very fluid and tragic situation happening in Tennessee.
Right, and then Polo, you said that the suspect was from a nearby county. Do we know anything about whether his residence or what they know about his residence to be, whether that is now being searched?
Yeah, as we've seen in many of these kinds of investigations, Fred, authorities are always led back to the home of these suspects. So as you can imagine, they'll be searching that. They're also searching the vehicle of the suspect. We're told there was a blue SUV that was found in the parking lot, not far from where that woman was shot and killed. Bombs, explosive detection dogs have actually hit on that vehicle. Police say that they believe that could possibly be simply the ammunition that was used. So far, they have not found anything threatening in that SUV. But again, this is just one stage in what is still a very early, very fluid investigation that's happening right now there in Antioch, Tennessee.
All right, Polo Sandoval, thank you so much. All right, I want to bring in now, well, actually, we're going to take a short break for now. We might have, we want to go now to Tennessee, Antioch. There was a shooting there inside, outside a church. Let's listen more now on new details.
At the church this morning, William Jenkins, age 83, who is in stable condition at Vanderbilt. Marlene Jenkins, age 84, in stable condition at Vanderbilt. David Spann, age 60, who is in critical stable condition at Vanderbilt. Peggy Spann, age 65, stable condition at Vanderbilt. And Linda Bush, age 68, stable condition at Vanderbilt. At Skyline Medical Center is Catherine with a K, Dickerson, age 64, in stable condition. Also at Skyline is Robert Engel, that's E-N-G-L-E, age 22. Mr. Engel is the usher at the church this morning who confronted the gunman and we believe is the hero today. With me now is Nashville Police Chief Steve Anderson, who will have a statement, then we'll take some questions.
So shortly after 11 today, we received an active shooter, active killer call at this location, and our officers responded, as did the Metropolitan Nashville Fire Department. And as you just heard, we have one person received fatal gunshot, 6 persons injured. What I would say about Mr. Robert Engel, the usher, he physically engaged the shooter, and during the struggle, the shooter was shot. At this time, we don't know exactly how that happened, whether he shot himself or whether the gun discharged during the struggle. Mr. Engel sustained serious injuries himself, and he's the hero. He's the person that stopped this madness, and so we're very, very, very grateful to him. Questions?
Was Mr. Engel shot or just beaten?
We think he was just beat at this time with the pistol, yes.
Still under investigation.
Still under investigation.
Do we have any idea what Mr. Sampson, why he came to this church?
We've received some preliminary information, but at this point we want to fully develop it before we release it. But it could be a variety of reasons, and we always take that into account.
A lot of activity around his vehicle. Have you found anything?
Nothing of note. But we were very cautious, and as you can see, we had our hazardous device personnel, our bomb squad, to carefully examine it because we were very concerned. But at this point, nothing of note.
Chief, we had one witness from inside say she heard a lot of gunshots, more than might have come from one handgun.
Well, as far as we know, they've just one at this time. But keep in mind that one weapon can discharge multiple rounds, and you can see the number of people that were wounded by gunfire.
There was supposed to be a church service tonight at 5 o'clock here, and there's a number of church services in Nashville. What would you like to say to the people in Nashville after this incident?
Well, I think first of all, recognize the bravery of the individual that stopped this madness, Mr. Engel. But for everybody to together and anywhere that 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 people are gathered is subject to something like this. But we certainly don't want to let this interfere with our lives. We go about our lives as usual, and we take this into account. Many people have called on us to receive training in churches and businesses, what happens if an active killer comes on their premises, and we're always happy to go out and provide that training.
Chief, should church doors be locked on Sunday mornings?
Well, I'd leave that to the individual church organizations, but it would be somewhat unchristian-like maybe to lock your doors, and I think that most churches recognize that, at the same time taking cautious procedures.
I understand a lot of churches have a security ministry, that a lot of them actually have people that that's what they do for the church. Does police have an opinion about efforts like that?
Well, I think any time any organization can do anything to secure their premises, as long as they do it in a safe and cautious manner with the proper training, we would support that.
Can they reach out to the police for any of that training?
You can reach out to us for anything at all. We're happy to come out and evaluate, to provide training, to provide any support possible.
Chief, there are a lot of friends and family anxious to get reunited with some people that were in the church at the time. I'm sure obviously police are talking with them as witnesses to this, but when might they expect to be able to be reunited with their friends and family?
Well, everyone has been released, so to speak, at this point. We still have several people gathered at the church, and I personally met with them just a few minutes ago, and we've offered them. Their cars are secured at this time, and we need to process this scene accordingly, but we've made offers to transport anybody home and bring them back at the proper time and secure their valuables in the meantime. So, but everybody has decided they will stay at this point.
Is the suspect talking at the hospital? Is he saying why he did it? Is he?
We've not received any information at this point.
Chief, this is a small country church, but could there be video or any sort of surveillance that could help in the investigation?
We've not seen any at this point, but that's always a possibility. The multitude of video cameras at homes and churches and businesses, that's could be possible.
Chief Anderson, to my knowledge, this has never happened. There's never been a church shooting in Nashville. How does this change the game?
Well, I think we're all in the game all over the United States. There's been church shootings in other places, and it just happened here in Nashville today. So again, I think people go about their lives being cautious, but we can't interrupt our lives. We need to go on and live our lives and be all that we can be.
So you can agree that this has not happened before in Nashville?
As far as I know, this has not happened in Nashville. I don't recall one.
Is it just coincidental that they had a big gathering, a big garage sale? You can see the signs down there.
I don't know of anything that would connect that, so I would say yes, coincidental.
Not assuming that there might be more money in the church after something like that?
We're not looking at robbery as a motive at this time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
A tragic situation with a shooting taking place in and outside of a church there in Antioch, Tennessee. One person killed and 6 others injured, including the gunman. The update there coming from Antioch police. We'll have much more on this breaking news right after this.